Hello everyone. There's been quite a bit of confusion in many places, including many videos on the web about creating a object which you can texture and move to Unity. So this video is about how you do that. And I'll mention several ways I've found to do different things as we go along. I'll try to move very slowly so we can see the things that are often not picked up in a tutorial. Here we have the opening screen in Blender. I want to make an object of some kind, and in this case I'll just use a cube because it makes sense to use something simple, but we could of course make any form of object that we'd like using the capabilities of Blender. So first, let's make two windows. I'll grab this little spot up here and move it down, and it'll look like this. So we'll have two windows. I'll get rid of this one by clicking the letter T, and it's gone, giving it a little more space. The first thing I'd like to do in the view perspective is to click the tab button, in which this will now be a edit mode view of the cube. And as you can see, everything is selected. Now if I look at the right hand side of this view, I'm going to make it the UV view, and I will invoke the UV image editor right here. There's nothing there. It's empty. Now you'll recall from other videos here that the UV view is simply a flattening of the view that we see of the cube on the left hand side. Now when I say flattening, we're going to flatten this cube out to see that there are 6 sides. So what I can do is click on the letter U, and you can unwrap the cube, and there are easy ways of doing that and hard ways of doing that. One of the easy ways to do that is simply to press the Smart UV Project, and it's smart enough to project over on the right hand side of the screen. Let's try it. Okay, the first thing that comes up is to ask some questions about the projection. It's going to make several little islands in here that it's easier to work with if they're separated. So let me try that again. U, Smart UV Project, and I'll make the margin very small, say 0.06, and press OK. So you'll see over on the right hand side we now have 6 sides that show up. If I come on the left hand side and say just click one of those by say clicking down here at the bottom of it, this face select mode, I can simply press A, have nothing selected, and then press right mouse click or double mouse click depending on your type of computer, and you can select only that face, and you can see that is the face here on the right hand side that corresponds to this face. If you're only interested in creating colors in your faces, you can simply put materials in by selecting this button over here. That Earth-like button, round button, is the materials button. Now if we're doing textures, as we're going to do this time around, I don't need to do that. I don't need to select these different views. You can see each time that I select a different panel, a different side in the cube, a different one will show up on the UV map. Now what's good about UV maps? They take the information that you put in it, and that information can be transferred in Unity to the mesh that's created. This particular cube is made out of a mesh of these different vertices, and when I select File, and export into Unity, it will export this mesh, but it doesn't export the textures. Right now there are no textures, but we'll see how to put some in. My objective is to put textures in each of the sides of the cube. Okay, let's see what we do. Another critical thing is one has to come down and press in the UV a plus new and make, I don't know, what shall we call it? Let's see, camp I'll call it, just for the fun of it, camp UV. And all I have to do is press OK, and it will make me an empty view like that. There's a black image, which we can now write on. I'd like to write on all the sides, wouldn't I? Just to see if I can. If I click all of these by pressing A once, twice, I can see this is where I want to write. So I'm going to attempt to do that. Here's another important point. Down here I have different modes, and I can select the texture paint mode. Ooh, pretty nice. But we don't see much. There's no paint slot, that is, no place to place paint, so I can press that. If I press it and say I want to put diffuse colors in it, I can select that. And after I do that, I'm going to add a texture paint slot named Material Diffuse Color. Say OK. OK, there it is. And I'd like to write on it. Maybe I'd like to write something on it, so I can press on a color. Well, let's see. Let me look at the top of this one. How about putting a 0 here? Well, that was pretty easy. Well, I could go over here and put a 1, just the same way, or I could put a different colored 1 and maybe make it a little bit smaller. Now to change the size, you press the letter F. And you can see it gets a little smaller there. If I press down, there's 1. Suppose I go over to this side and make a green 2. That's pretty good. And maybe a yellow 3. There we are. And finally, a orange 4. Now if I want to really finish it up, I can go and make the 5 on the bottom some other color. Well, maybe red like. And there's 5. So I have all of these colorized, just the way I'd like them to appear in Unity. Now to do that, what I have to do is to go over to where this icon is, which is for textures. If I press that, I get texture mode, and there's the material diffuse color slot that we made earlier. I need to click on that. And there it is. And look at all those numbers I made on it, and they're kind of repeated because it continues on. But we've got it made, and now I can make an image. I can save this image by selecting image. Notice the little star next to image. That's there to help the user know that you haven't saved this yet. Let's save it. All right, I'm going to save as image, and we'll put it someplace. Why don't I put it in campuv.png, which is under my directory images for camp. Okay, here goes, save it. And I've saved it. And let's see, I also needed to have, yes, I've got that image or movie, and I've got this, I've got that. And I can now take a look at painting a bit. if I go over to Paint, there's the same stuff I had before. And I ought to be able to paint on this. Well, I don't know if I can or not. Yes, so I can. Like so. But we don't know if it's really there. Doesn't look like it's there, does it? But I need to be able to save this material and find out why it's not showing up in my view here. It may be because I need to select that one. Just like that, would you believe? It was that I had to come in down and select it there. So this is the image that I should wrap around my cube. All right, so we've got now. I'm going to save as image, material select color, .png, and that should be the right one because it takes what I've written on it and writes it into a file. And over here, this is what I drew them on, and I should be able to export that. If I say File, Export, then I can export it to FBX. Let me do that. And let me go back to where we were on the camp, images for camp, and put it in camp. FBX. Okay. I should have all I need. Let me go to Unity. Okay, we're over in Unity. I don't like these that I made before, so let me just get rid of them. What do you say? And we'll take a chance that we can get them again. Okay, here we are in Images, and I've got some materials and various other things, so I'm just going to clear out and have a space for putting those in. That's one I cleared out. And here's another one I cleared out. Now, what do you suspect will happen if I import that camp.fbx? So if I say File, well, I won't do it that way. Let me go over to the images for camp, which are right here. And I should have camp.fbx someplace, and there it is. I'm going to bring it over, and I'm going to also get rid of these things in my previous incarnation. Well, I don't have to. I'll just bring it over and put it in this particular place. Ah, there it is, camp. Now, I remember at the very beginning of this, I told you that we wouldn't get any textures on something if we save the FBX and then import it into Unity. We won't. So let me do that and we'll see it happen right here. Well, that's not really true then, is it? Because what I got was something I'd done before, just in a test. So I'm going to delete that. Delete. And it disappears. And this other one should disappear too. It was materials I made earlier, just trying out. Well, no, that's the one we just made, isn't it? Perhaps it is. We'll see. I don't think so. But anyway, there is the camp that is brought in. I can try that again just to show you. Looks pretty good now. And I'll get rid of this one, the old one. Okay, or maybe I won't. But what we can do now, interestingly enough, is just go back to this camp uv.png and see that is, ooh, where is it? It looks like there's nothing there. I bet you I didn't save it. So let's go back to Blender and image, save as image, make diffuse color.png. That's what we need. Bet you all caught that I'd said that wrong just a minute ago. So anyway, back to Unity, and this is make or material diffuse color dot. It looks just like the one I did with those nice looking characters. So let me bring it in. I'll bring it back over to here. And there it is. So all I have to do now is to drag it over to there. Doesn't look like anything's happened yet. Maybe I need to drag it over to here. Was that the last one I did? There it is. Now, why didn't it come in the first time? I'm not actually sure, but I've seen that happen before when I drag it a little too fast and let up a little too fast. And if I look at the other material, I can fiddle around with it. It doesn't seem to always work perfectly. So remember, keep that in mind as you do these things. But it does work correctly, and you can see how it works. So anyway, it does work, and you can see here it is. Here's our view in Unity, and we can actually see it and look at it from different directions and all that. It just looks like something that we'd like to have. So that's it, and try this out, and you'll see experimenting with it that probably sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. There are little things that are a problem with the Blender Unity interface, and I can tell you for a surety that not all of them have been solved yet, but enough to get us through making something if we wanted to. So, thanks much.